On April 19, 2023, the world woke up to devastating news that sent shockwaves through the global music community. MoonBin, a beloved member of the K-pop group Astro, was found dead in his Seoul apartment at just 25 years old. His manager discovered him unresponsive, and despite emergency services rushing to the scene, it was too late. The young star, who had spent nearly his entire life in the spotlight, was gone, leaving millions of fans asking one haunting question: how did this happen? The rise of a star. MoonBin wasn't just another K-pop idol who trained for a few years before debut. His relationship with the entertainment industry started when he was practically still a toddler. Born on January 26, 1998, in Cheongju, South Korea, MoonBin entered the entertainment world at the tender age of 10 as a child model and actor. He appeared in various television dramas and commercials, showing natural talent and charisma that caught the attention of industry professionals early on. In 2004, at just 6 years old, he made his acting debut in a minor role. By the time he was a teenager, Fantagio Entertainment had scouted him, recognizing his potential not just as an actor, but as a future idol. He trained for years under their system, learning to sing, dance, and perform with the intensity that K-pop demands. During his trainee period, MoonBin developed close friendships with other aspiring idols, including Eunwoo, who would later become his groupmate in Astro. The training period for K-pop idols is notoriously brutal. Days start early and end late, with constant practice, evaluation, and competition. Trainees can be cut at any moment if they don't meet standards. For MoonBin, this pressure cooker environment lasted for years. His dedication paid off when Fantagio announced he would be part of their new boy group, Astro. In 2016, at 18 years old, MoonBin finally debuted as a main dancer and vocalist, stepping into the role he had prepared for his entire childhood. Astro and the peak of success. Astro debuted on February 23, 2016 with their mini-album Spring Up and the title track Hide and Seek. The six-member group quickly gained attention for their bright, youthful concept and impressive performance skills. MoonBin stood out immediately for his powerful dancing and stage presence. He wasn't just good, he was captivating to watch, executing complex choreography with precision while maintaining the energy and charisma that fans craved. The group's popularity grew steadily both in Korea and internationally. They released hit after hit, including Baby, Breathless, and All Night. MoonBin became known not just as a dancer, but as a versatile performer who could handle various concepts and styles. In 2020, he formed a special unit with fellow member Sanha called MoonBin and Sanha, which allowed him to showcase different artistic sides and reach new audiences. By all external measures, MoonBin was living the dream. Astro sold out concerts worldwide, accumulated millions of views on their videos, and had dedicated fan bases across continents. MoonBin himself became a sought-after idol, participating in variety shows, special performances, and collaborations. He seemed to have everything a young performer could want: success, recognition, and the love of fans who called themselves Aroha. But behind the bright stage lights and perfectly choreographed performances, a different reality was taking shape. The same industry that had given MoonBin his dreams was also slowly crushing him under its weight. The question isn't whether he was successful. He clearly was. The question is what that success actually cost him. The dark side of K-pop. The K-pop industry looks glamorous from the outside, but anyone who looks closer knows it operates on a brutal system that treats young performers as products rather than people. Idols face schedules that would break most adults, often working 18 to 20 hours a day during promotional periods. They hop from music show recordings to radio appearances to fan meetings to photo shoots, sometimes without sleeping for days. MoonBin and his fellow Astro members weren't exempt from these demands. During comeback seasons, they would perform on multiple music shows per week, each requiring early morning rehearsals and late-night recordings. Between domestic promotions, they'd fly to Japan, Thailand, or other countries for concerts and fan events, then return immediately to continue their Korean schedules. Rest days were rare, and true vacations were almost non-existent. But the physical exhaustion is only part of the problem. The mental and emotional toll of idol life is perhaps even more damaging. Idols must maintain perfect public images at all times. Every word they say can be scrutinized, twisted, or turned into a scandal. Their personal lives are essentially non-existent, with dating often forbidden by contracts and normal social interactions heavily monitored. They're expected to be perpetually cheerful, grateful, and available to fans, regardless of how they actually feel. The pressure to maintain unrealistic body standards adds another layer of stress. Male and female idols alike face constant pressure to be thin, leading many to engage in extreme dieting that borders on starvation. Comments about weight gain, even minor ones, can spread like wildfire online and lead to brutal criticism. For someone like MoonBin, whose job as a main dancer required both strength and a lean physique, this pressure was relentless. Mental health support in the Korean entertainment industry is severely lacking. Despite several high-profile idol deaths in recent years, many agencies still don't provide adequate psychological support or allow their artists to take breaks when struggling. The culture emphasizes pushing through pain and exhaustion, viewing complaints or requests for help as weakness or lack of dedication. Idols who do speak up about mental health struggles often face backlash or career consequences. Warning signs: nobody saw. Looking back at MoonBin's final months, some fans and observers have pointed to moments that might have indicated he was struggling, though hindsight always has a way of making patterns clearer than they were in real time. In late 2022 and early 2023, Astro and MoonBin and Sanha were both active with promotions, meaning MoonBin was essentially working double duty. In January 2023, just 3 months before his death, MoonBin and Sanha embarked on their Diffusion World Tour. They performed in multiple countries across Asia and South America, maintaining an exhausting schedule that required constant travel, rehearsals, and performances. Fans who attended these concerts later recalled that MoonBin seemed professional as always, but perhaps more tired than usual. There were a few instances where MoonBin had to miss scheduled appearances due to health issues. In March 2023, he sat out certain promotional activities because of what his agency described as health concerns requiring rest. At the time, fans sent well wishes and hoped he'd recover quickly, not realizing these might be signs of a deeper struggle. On social media, MoonBin continued posting regularly and interacting with fans, showing the bright, caring personality that made people love him. He thanked fans for their support, shared updates about his work, and seemed excited about upcoming projects. But social media presence doesn't tell the whole story. Many people struggling with severe mental health issues become experts at hiding their pain, especially those in the public eye who feel pressure to maintain a certain image. His final performance with MoonBin and Sanha took place in mid-April 2023, just days before his death. He performed professionally, hitting his marks and delivering the high-energy show fans expected. Nobody in the audience that night could have known they were witnessing his last time on stage. April 19, 2023, the day everything stopped. On the evening of April 19, 2023, MoonBin's manager went to his apartment in the Gangnam district of Seoul for a scheduled meeting. When repeated knocking received no response, concern grew. After entering the apartment, the manager made the horrifying discovery. MoonBin was unresponsive. Emergency services were immediately called, but when they arrived, they could only confirm what was already devastatingly clear. MoonBin was pronounced dead at the scene. News broke quickly in the Korean media, and within hours the story had spread globally. Fans first saw reports on social media, many initially dismissing them as cruel hoaxes because the news seemed too shocking to be true. But as official statements began appearing from Fantagio Entertainment and Korean news outlets, the horrible reality set in. MoonBin was really gone. Fantagio released a statement expressing their profound grief and asking for respect for the family's privacy during this difficult time. They confirmed that MoonBin had suddenly left us and became a star in the sky, a poetic euphemism that Koreans often use when discussing death. The agency canceled all scheduled activities for Astro and requested that fans refrain from speculation and spreading rumors. The Seoul Songdong police station investigated the circumstances of his death as standard procedure. They found no signs of foul play and concluded that the death appeared to be a suicide, though they didn't explicitly use that word in public statements. MoonBin's family decided not to pursue an autopsy, choosing to accept the initial findings and focus on their grief rather than subjecting their loved one to further examination. The suspected cause: Official statements about MoonBin's death have been deliberately vague, respecting both Korean cultural norms around discussing such matters and the family's wishes for privacy. What we know for certain is limited. He was found dead in his apartment, police ruled out foul play, and no autopsy was performed. The heavy implication from the investigation and subsequent reporting suggests he took his own life, though this has never been explicitly confirmed by authorities or family. The lack of detailed public information has left many fans searching for answers that may never come. Why would someone who seemed to have everything choose to end his life? The truth is that mental health crises rarely have simple, single causes. They result from complex combinations of biological factors, environmental stressors, and psychological struggles that others may never fully understand. What we can examine are the circumstances that may have contributed to his state of mind. The relentless schedule of K-pop promotion, the pressure to maintain a perfect public image, the lack of privacy and normal life experiences, the physical and mental exhaustion that comes from years of non-stop work. These factors create an environment where mental health problems can flourish unchecked. Friends and colleagues later shared that MoonBin was someone who took his responsibilities seriously, perhaps too seriously. He worried about letting down his group members, his agency, and his fans. This sense of overwhelming responsibility, combined with the perfectionism that often drives successful performers, can become a crushing burden. When someone feels they can't show weakness or ask for help without disappointing everyone who depends on them, they may suffer in silence until the pain becomes unbearable. It's also worth noting that South Korea has one of the highest suicide rates among developed nations, particularly for young people. The country's culture of high pressure, intense competition, and stigma around mental health treatment creates conditions where many struggle silently. For idols living under even greater pressure than average citizens, with fewer outlets for stress and virtually no anonymity to seek help, the risk factors multiply. A pattern of tragedy. MoonBin's death is heartbreaking, but tragically, it's not unprecedented in the K-pop industry. He joins a devastating list of young idols who have died under similar circumstances, highlighting systemic problems that the industry has failed to adequately address. In December 2017, Kim Jong-un of the legendary group SHINee died by suicide at age 27. Before his death, he left a note describing the overwhelming darkness he felt in his exhaustion with the pressures of fame. His death sent shockwaves through the industry and sparked conversations about idol mental health, but ultimately, few concrete changes followed. In 2019 alone, 2 prominent idols died in circumstances that devastated fans worldwide. Sully, a former member of FX who had left the group to pursue acting and solo activities, was found dead in October at age 25. She had been open about her struggles with mental health and had faced relentless online harassment for her choices and outspoken personality. Just over a month later, in November 2019, Gu Hara, formerly of Kara and a close friend of Sully's, also died at age 28. She had attempted suicide earlier that year and struggled with the aftermath of a highly publicized legal battle. These tragedies share common threads: young people facing immense pressure, online harassment, invasive media attention, and inadequate mental health support. Each death prompted temporary discussions about industry reform, online bullying, and the need for better mental health resources. Yet the fundamental structures that create these conditions remain largely unchanged. The pattern extends beyond K-pop stars to actors, models, and other entertainers in the Korean industry. The problem isn't limited to one genre or type of celebrity, but reflects broader issues in how Korea's entertainment industry operates and how Korean society treats mental health struggles. Until these underlying issues are addressed systemically, with real policy changes and cultural shifts, more young talents will likely be lost. The aftermath and industry response. The response to MoonBin's death was immediate and overwhelming. Fans around the world held memorial gatherings, lighting candles and sharing memories of how his performances and personality had touched their lives. Aroha, Astro's fandom, mourned together online and in person, finding comfort in their shared grief. The memorial set up at Fantagio Entertainment's building saw thousands of visitors paying respects with flowers, letters, and tears. Fellow K-pop idols expressed their shock and sadness, with many attending his funeral despite their own busy schedules. His Astro members were devastated, with the group going on an indefinite hiatus to grieve. Yunwoo, who had been especially close to MoonBin since their trainee days, appeared publicly broken, struggling to process the loss of his longtime friend and brother. The industry response included the expected statements about the tragedy and the importance of mental health, but many fans and observers noted the familiar pattern: shock, mourning, promises to do better, and then gradual return to business as usual. Some agencies announced they would increase mental health support for their artists, but skepticism remained about whether these would be meaningful changes or just public relations moves. Korean media sparked discussions about idol working conditions, the pressure cooker environment of entertainment companies, and the need for stronger regulations protecting young performers. Some politicians even proposed legislation to limit working hours for idols and require agencies to provide mental health services. However, Korea's powerful entertainment industry has historically resisted regulation that might reduce profitability or limit their control over their valuable assets, the idols themselves. MoonBin's death did seem to shift conversations slightly, with more idols speaking publicly about their own mental health struggles and the need for industry changes. Whether this translates into actual reform that protects future generations of performers remains to be seen. The test will be not in the immediate aftermath when attention is high, but in the months and years that follow when cameras turn away. MoonBin left behind more than just music and performances. His death became another wake-up call, another name added to a list that's already far too long. He was talented, hardworking, and beloved by millions, yet none of that was enough to save him from the darkness that ultimately took his life. His story is a reminder that success and fame don't protect anyone from mental health struggles, and that an industry built on demanding perfection from young people needs to fundamentally rethink how it operates. The real question is whether the lessons from his loss will be learned and acted upon, or if his name will simply be added to the tragic history while the machine keeps grinding forward, creating new stars who face the same impossible pressures that broke those who came before.